Right, Mark, it is time to whack some paddles on.
Yep, you see these hanging around at the end of every pool nowadays. It's like every man in the dark has a set of these. But you might be wondering what they are and how to use them.
Yeah, these bits of kit are extremely beneficial for improving our strength and working on our technique in the pool. So today we're going to discuss how to use them and crucially what we need to use paddles for. Now, as triathletes, we are well known for our love of swim toys, and we generally carry around a whole collection of paraphernalia when we go to a swim workout. And these hand paddles are generally always one of those things that we add to our collection.
Yeah, and on the simplest level, these hand paddles increase the surface area of our hand, and therefore meaning that we can grab a hold of more water with each pull, and therefore increasing our momentum as we swim. Now, you can use these completely on their own as we would when we normally swim, or you can incorporate them into a pull set. Now, a pull set would be when you pop something like this, a pull buoy, between your legs. That will stop you from using your legs and getting the propulsion from your legs and really isolating the arms.
Yeah, so when we're adding these hand paddles into a pool set, we essentially are trying to mimic a strength session in the gym, or to be more specific, say an overgearing session when we're out on the bike. So simply put, we are just trying to get more bang from our buck from that swim session, because let's face it, as triathletes, we don't usually have a whole ton of spare time.
So paddles can help to improve the mechanics of our swim stroke, and with time can also help to improve our strength and technique too. How so? I hear you ask. Well, if you pop along to your local swim club, master swim session or triathlon club swim, then you'll very often hear a coach saying something along the lines of dropped elbow, crossing the center line, or even bad catch.
Yeah, now these are all weaknesses that I heard being talked about once upon a time, and that's where paddles are really useful tools, because by using these, well, they help accentuate all those weaknesses that can possibly be in our stroke. So with the right attention to detail and focus when we're swimming, and good drill work, in time we can become stronger and faster, and that regular use of paddle work will just help us become better swimmers.
Yeah, so having a high elbow is, well, it's kind of become some sort of mantra within the swimming community, and it has been for a long time now. If you switch to swimming on TV, any high profile events such as the Olympics, you'll see just what we're on about. But to really understand the benefits of this high elbow, I really believe that you have to feel it first yourself. And that's where hand paddles really come into their own, because by the very nature of their larger surface area, they essentially accentuate that feeling of the high elbow, the benefits that you get from it, and that feeling of being stronger and more efficient with your stroke.
Yeah, now that is where paddles are really good, because they do help you get more of a feel for the water when you're swimming. And other benefits that paddles can bring are that they make you think about crossing the center line when you enter the water, because that really isn't a very strong type of catch that we can get. You end up with an S-type shaped pool, which just is far weaker than a really good, strong, over-the-barrel type of catch. And another thing that paddles can help you to do is just promote more thought about the whole swim stroke, right from your entry all the way through to the exit where you come out at the hips.
Now, to really get the most out of paddle work, then you want to make sure that it's establishing a good technique underwater. Now, something that I was taught from a young age, and personally I hate, but Fraser absolutely loves doing it, is removing the strap from the bottom of the paddles that should ordinarily go over your wrists. And that just leaves you with the top strap for your fingers. Now, what this does is it forces you to catch and enter the water smoothly and then pull in a nice even fashion, rather than just trying to grab the water, muscling your way down the lane and just relying on that larger surface area. Now, if you find that the paddle is slipping away from you or moving underneath your hand, and what might be happening is you're braking at the wrist and you're losing that catch and that purchase on the water. So really try to slow things down and really try to feel the stroke. Because essentially what we're striving for is a good catch with paddle work, and almost trying to think of our hand and our arm like an anchor point that we're trying to move ourselves over whilst we hold onto the water. Or at least that's what we're trying to think of anyway.
Now, there are a couple of things worth pointing out when we're talking about using hand paddles, in terms of how often we use them and how experienced a swimmer we are whilst using them. Now, when I finished up racing as an athlete, I'll happily admit to having become fairly dependent on using these hand paddles in my swim workouts. In fact, I was probably using them for as much as 3/4 of my swimming. And I'd go as far as saying that they had become a crux for me. But that was largely possible because of the amount of swimming I'd accumulated over the years as a younger swimmer, and also my fairly resilient swim stroke and good mechanics that I had. But as a newbie swimmer or triathlete, that definitely is not something that I'd recommend. A more sensible ballpark figure would be in the region of up to 1/3 of your swimming being done with these paddles. And on that note, you might well read or hear people talking about never going near paddles until you've been swimming for as much as 2 years. I disagree with this. Rather, I'd go for the option of little and often once you're comfortable being in the water and keeping your reps nice and low when you're using paddles, because that enforces better technique rather than hammering home poor form using these extra load that the paddles give us and just focusing on having better technique through using them. So some sample sessions that you could include in your swimming to think about progressing with the use of hand paddles could be starting with nice and short reps, like say 10 times 50 meters with the paddles, and then 200 meters nice and easy swim, repeating that set twice times through. That then could build into 8 times 75 meters with paddles and 100 meters nice and easy, again repeating that set 2 times through. And that itself could lead into say something like 5 times 100 with 200 meters nice and easy swimming, repeating that set twice times through as well. So what you're doing is slowly increasing the duration of the rep that you're using with the hand paddle. And in time, once you get more stable and comfortable using the paddle and your stroke is coping with it, you can factor in longer reps like 200 meters, and even as far as 400 or 500 meter reps aren't out of the question either. Now, for the majority of swimmers, your paddle should be just larger than your hands, in the region of about 10 to 20% larger. Don't do what I used to do as a kid. I used to just go for the largest paddles I could, thinking I was the Don, because actually that's just going to put excessive strain on your arms and your shoulders and also amplify any faults within your mechanics of your stroke. Yeah, now essentially as Mark's saying is don't go and whack on a set of dinner plates such as these. And believe me, I have seen it done. As Mark's explaining, it happens all too often. And if your swim stroke isn't able to cope with it, you're just inviting the concepts of all sorts of shoulder injuries that just isn't worth worrying about. So please just keep the paddle size nice and small and you'll definitely get lots of improvement from using paddles. I think mine were more like dustbin lids rather than dinner plates, to be honest. Now, you might have gathered by now that Fraser and myself are big fans of using paddles, and hopefully today's video has clarified and highlighted those benefits of using paddles, so maybe you might want to include them in your next swim workout. Yeah, absolutely. So if you've got any thoughts or discussions or topics about using paddles, drop them down in the comments below because we'd love to read about them and get involved in your discussions. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that thumb up like button, find the globe somewhere on screen to get all the other content that we've got here on GTN. And if you want to see a video that we did about swim kit essentials, you can find that here. Yeah, and on the biking side, if you want to see something sort of related, see our overgearing video by clicking just down here.